to this 9x live session on building Make AI agents in 2026. I'm very excited about this session and happy that you are all here joining us. What do we have in store? So a very short introduction from my side, and then I'm going to hand it over to the stars of the show, the guests, the reason why you're all here. But as always, I just want to quickly take a moment to introduce us if you're here for the first time. So we are 9x. You can find us at go9x.com. Basically, we're building your one-stop shop to learn AI and automation. And we really believe that AI and automation are the most important skills that you can learn right now as a business professional. And it's our mission to bring you these skills on a silver platter. And we do these in a few different ways. So first of all, through our YouTube channel, and we will be, Roger from the 9x team will be dropping a link in the Zoom chat. So every week we publish free AI and automation tutorials, demos, the latest news. It's completely free as always with YouTube. Like and subscribe. So there should be a link there to subscribe. Actually, next week I'll be dropping a 40-minute full course on Make AI agents. So if some of the stuff that Seb and the team share today get you a little bit excited, then you have a nice tutorial next week to walk you through everything. On top of our YouTube channel, we also run these live sessions each and every week, exactly like the one that you are all in right now. Next week is a little bit of a different session. Typically, it's really around like the technical tools and technical concepts. Next week, we're going to be joined by Brandon, who's the Chief People Officer at Zapier, and it's all going to be about AI transformation. So really looking at the culture of AI transformation, how you can build an AI-first organization. So maybe if you're in the HR, learning and development, people team, this one might be a session for you. Also, if you're a founder or running a company and you want to see how more of your team can start using AI in their day-to-day, make sure to join next week's session. And Roger will also be dropping a link in the chat. And finally, the third way we do this is through our courses. So we've really tried to structure our courses to take you all the way from beginner to advanced, depending on where you're at. We have a free intro course that we are working on right now, which should be released around November. This is the AI starter to really show you what's possible with AI as a business professional. Then we have our AI operator, where you'll learn how to become productive with AI at work using AI chat as your co-pilot. So how you can get the most out of tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. Really diving into like prompting fundamentals and understanding what large language models are all about. And then we have our most advanced program, the AI Builder, where you can learn to automate with AI, building either our AI-powered automations all the way up to AI agents, which we're going to see a little bit of today. And I think we should have the link in the chat to those courses. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. That's the shameless plugs out of the way. Now we can move on to the main part of the show, and I can introduce my guest here, but we actually have a couple of guests. So first of all, I'll hand over to Seb, who is the head of applied AI at Make. Welcome, Seb. It's great to have you on.
Likewise. Thanks, Jan. And hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm super happy to be here today. I'm not alone here today. I brought Vitek with me. He's heading our agents efforts in Make, and we're super happy to share what we're working on and give a little sneak peek and also get you empowered to build really cool agents. So yeah, welcome everybody. And Vitek, if you want to introduce yourself as well, feel free to unmute and let's go.
Thanks, Seth, for the introduction. I just joined Make 2 weeks ago. It's been an amazing journey so far, though. I've been loving it. I think what we're doing with agents, you guys are really gonna love it.
Vitek, we can hear some like elevator music. Is that still meant to be on, or that was just?
Yeah, I thought it's coming from Zoom apparently, but maybe it's not. Let me check this out on my side.
It is very soothing, I have to say. Maybe while Vitek's getting that sorted, one thing that I want to mention as well is throughout the session, we obviously will have some time for Q&A at the end, but throughout the session, please feel free to use the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on it. If you have any questions that are relevant to what Vitek and Seb are currently talking about, I'm just going to interrupt them and bring it up straight away. And otherwise, I'll keep a list of some of the best questions and we'll tackle those at the end. Vitek, have you reached the floor you need to be on yet?
I
Still.
think I identified this elevator music. I think Vitek, you are in the Slack huddle we had like 5 minutes before the session, and that's the Slack huddle music.
Nice.
No worries.
Got it.
It did sound familiar. It did sound familiar.
It's also something we're gonna be looking into today, how to actually error fix and handle errors with agents. So this was probably a really good case. So yeah, thanks for the intro. As I was saying, just joined Make. It's been an amazing ride so far. My background is really in building a lot of side projects, working in agents really close. And now I got the chance to actually kind of spearhead this with Meg, who is also spearheading the whole industry forward with automation. I really hope that you guys are gonna like what we have in store for you as of the present, but also for the future, because we are extremely excited about what we have, and I think you're gonna like it as well. I think that first and foremost, before we dig into the demo I prepared to show you, I think it's really actually important to talk about what we discovered with users using agents and where do they fail and how do we then divide it. It is really based on a lot of user research that we did, and also recently on Make Waves when we were talking to users and we saw really experienced users in using highly deterministic automation, having 800s, 1000, 2000 scenarios, and still failing to understand why do agents matters, when do we use them versus when do we use them actual agents. So if you bear with me, I would just give you a little note on that. I think it's really important to understand that when you need stable rules, where you have low variability, high auditability for validation, compliance gates, financials, it's still important to use non-deterministic scenarios because that's where it shines, where you need 100% accuracy. It's every time, same input, every time, same output. Keep using that. But then when agents really shine is where you have unstructured inputs, where you have ambiguous intent, you change the phrasing, the inputs and the outputs, they change. There are some unknowns. For example, what we're gonna be looking at into today is like agent assist. Currently, this is where we see the highest ROI, especially for example, when we look into customer service agents, not in terms of, hey, I want to replace customer support, but I need to speed up customer support. So then we can see the customer satisfaction with the agents actually going skyrocketing. The speed to answer is 80%, 70% higher than usual. So it's really important to when you're looking into what is the best tool to use for what I'm trying to reach. Look into that a lot before you really start digging deep into should I use agents or should I use scenarios or some other non-deterministic ways. That said, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look into the agent I prepared for you today. It's going to be a customer service agent.
And maybe just while Vitek, you're getting your screen sharing set up, I already had a question in the chat, which is quite a good one from Dave. If I can give a quick overview about what is Make. So of course, there's probably some people here today for the first time that are brand new and haven't, let's say, seen the platform before. Maybe I can chime in as a third party. So Make is what we would classify at 9X as a traditional integration platform. So it's become one of the easiest ways that a business person, so I'm not an engineer, I'm just a business person, to allow me to connect different tools together. And we do this using APIs, and Make have just basically made it incredibly easy to connect different tools using this technology, whereas previously APIs was only something that developers could do. Now APIs is for everyone. So if you have, for instance, a lead filling out a form on a certain tool like Typeform or Tally, you can use a Make scenario and automation to easily save that information to your CRM, all with a visual interface. And now, I guess, moving ahead, we were previously in automations. Now the next big thing is AI agents, and we're seeing a lot of the typical integration platforms also give us business people the ability to create AI agents, whereas also previously that was something only for developers. I don't know, Seb or Vitek, if there's anything you want to add on that description.
I think you really nailed it. A question for me. Can you see my screen? Because I needed to open my
We
system
can
settings.
see your screen. What I would probably say, because I know it's going to come in the chat, if you can zoom in a little bit, because right now it is quite small to see the text and the different tools that you have there.
I think we're gonna go through all of the little setups and why I did what I did, and I will explain a lot about how did we actually arrive here. It's important to know that at this point, this agent that I'm gonna show you, it has been already iterated through. So the way we go through this is you create an agent, you make a simple case, you try to make it work, then you go back and you iterate the prompt, you iterate the tools, and you iterate the context as well. So the three things that we will be looking most into today is a system prompt, context, what are the differences between each of those, and then the tool selection. So that's what we're really interested, right? Whether when we call the agent, it can actually do actions for us and make them and do them correctly. The system prompt by itself, it's what we build here. It's an agent assistant for a customer success. Basically, the difference between when to use a system prompt and context window, many people do not know this. The system prompt is basically the agent rules, the role. This is what the agent will always read. It's highest priority, and it is mostly the deterministic control that we give to the agent. Whereas the context window, it contains background information, data, additional context for the agent to reference. It's basically a library. So read when retrieved, it is grounded, and it has way lower priority than the system itself. In the system prompt, you try to keep it short and sweet. You iterate on it often. It's basically you give it a role, you give it objectives, so you give it the goal that it should do. For example, agent assist, please don't run tools, ask first, mask private information, least privilege. You do basically, you write the tool use and how to use it when, and then you specify these tools in context. So you have policies, you have tool metadata, you have glossaries. We also have tools contracts. So this is important because in tools contracts, we really specify if, when, tool description, what are the inputs, the outputs in these descriptions and in these tools. So it's important to differentiate these two actually. Of course, you don't do that straight away. First, you just play around, you see what errors it is making, and then you try to enhance these as we go. If you would be interested, we could also share these with you. It's a mock. They are all mock files. So you could definitely have a look in there. We can talk to Jan after this, and maybe we could share these files with you.
Yeah, we already have people asking for the system prompt. So I think if we can share that, then I'll share it when we share the recording tomorrow.
Yes.
So you get all of these files, the system prompt, and you can really dig in. We did have one quick question on the system prompt from Maria asking whether we should use XML formatting for the system prompt, or here we're using something known as Markdown, I can see. So I would really say it doesn't really matter. The one good thing from whatever format you choose, whether it's XML or Markdown, is that the AI agent or large language models know how to understand this formatting, and just what I would call it's like delimiters is the phrase that I would use. It's a very good way of helping you structure your prompt. So what we see here is Markdown, but you can also use XML or other formats. I don't know, Vitek, if you guys have discovered any best practices there.
No, you really nailed it. And I also think it's once you get this basic done, it's also about personal preference. And if you keep using it, just keep using it consistently throughout the system. So you don't mix and match. It learns how you use it. So I think it's just a best practice to not mix and match. Once you choose one or the other, just keep using it. I think that would be my advice. And really, it also comes down to a personal preference. As far as you keep it consistent, should be good. Do we have any other questions, or can we go forth?
Let's go.
Awesome. So here we also have some contacts. So we have the compliance policy, we have the style guide, We have the assistant playbook where we really tell the agent, okay, this is your role in detail. This is what probably the assistant will need help with. What happens if they need trouble with login troubleshooting? How do we escalate? What is our refund policy? What do we need? And then we have also the context map. This one is also important. It's where we tell the agent this is all and everything that you can use and that you should use and when you should use it. And then in the tool contracts, we really go down into detail into what's up. Cool thing about you doing this in Make is you don't really have to write the descriptions yourself. Once you upload the file, it actually reads the files for you, and then you can see what it actually does. So we can see we find spreadsheets and Slack integration for support tickets workflow, user lookups, off diagnostic, incident status, case management, and so on. You can see that this happens for all of them. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but just so you get the gist of it. If you are not sure how to write a prompt, we have this really cool feature. It's called improve prompt. Basically here you can either leave it for empty and it will auto improve for you, or you will enter what do you want to improve about the prompt, and then it will actually improve it for you. So you can just write a basic prompt and just say, can you just make this clearer, more concise? And it will actually create the style for you, the guardrails, the tool use. It does have access to context, and it does have access to the tools that you connected. So it can take that into consideration. It's gonna save you a lot of time. You don't have to prompt engineer your way through it, and so on. As for the tools, we have a couple modules that we set up. Modules in Make are basically what tools can we use. When we have, for example, sheet, we can choose, do we want to search a row? Do we want to search a sheet? Do we want to update a row? Do we want to add a column? And so on, these little different tools. It's important. You can see that I have kind of a funny naming of these. It's because it reflects what I wrote in the tools contracts. So again, more precise you're gonna be, more machine language you're gonna speak, the better it's gonna be at the accuracy. So without further ado, for something that I'm really worried with any demo, because if you know LLMs, you know that they can be tricky. Sometimes they work, and sometimes they decide that they just don't work for you. So let's shoot it a little message. Hi, my 2FA codes keep failing. I use password logging, not Google. My email is j.acme. Ticket is actually, let's do one that we have. I can verify per policy. Please help me. Now, what the agent should do, as per the assistant playbook and as per the tool use, of course. Let's try again, new chat, and we will go with a larger model because apparently it was not enough. Good thing if you wanna. I was just testing this before this call, and of course it's not gonna work when I need it to work. Let's try it again with a different prompt. Chat. Okay, looks like yes. So we can already see that it's around the essential context retriever. This means that it went through our context files and it actually checked what it needs to know. So the query is, do we have SOP for SSO loop incidents? We need escalation steps. We need to know which tools to call, and we also need to check if status sheet or sheet ID is defined. And here we go. We already have a decision. Basically, multiple users. We have next steps that the customer agent should take. We have some rationale behind it, and it also tells us what tools to call. So it also correctly assigned that it needs an approval, and it proposed us tools to call. So first, it wants to check status. Then it wants to see if the case exists, and then if no case found, it will create the case for us. Once it calls off diagnostics, and last but not least, it will also post a Slack alert to our Slack that we also notified here. So let's see. Can you check the status and call the tool? This should be taken as an approval. Here we go. It correctly called the scenario, and we can go forth with calling the tools. This you can use for basically anything that you can figure out. You can make your own scenarios, or it can be just simple modules. So yeah, we see that to see last login. Authorization shows that there are no active incidents, and the API shows active issues. So now we know that we don't have actual any active incident. It should be on the side of the user. So we can also call more. We can go for can you call the check user A status? So we can go forth and forth with solving this case with the customer. You can already see that if I were to do this manually, I would have to check in with the client. I would have to go to multiple tools. I would have to then go in, check the status of the client, find him, update the incident, append the resolution, check on our Datadog whether we have some incidents or we don't, find the case, update the case, create a case, post a Slack message. If you use the agents with this approval, you can just say, okay, yes, I approve, blah, blah, blah. And then it just does it for you really fast. You can also automate this. This is, of course, a testing case. And so, yeah, do we have any questions regarding this?
Yeah, we have a really, really great question from Ken. He rightly pointed out that there's a great deal of like context and tools that we have here. So does that impact the response time? And also does the amount of data that the agent has to reference, could you give it too much context and it would increase inaccuracies from the responses?
You definitely could. That's a really good question. But it's important to know that it also depends on the variety inside of this context and inside of these tools. So if you have a very task-specific agent, for example, if it would be this customer agent, and he would have very customer agent-specific tasks and contexts, then it's actually okay, because the context is very similar and it can search very fast inside of it. If you would try to do different agents, so you would then mix and match a customer success agent with a compliance agent, and then you would upload different contexts for each of those, you would see drastic downgrade in your accuracy. So it's really try to make them as task specific as possible. Of course, you can do too much. If you would see that your customer agent is suddenly further context, further tools, try to figure out whether or not you can actually split that down.
Perfect. And we had a few people asking about like what are modules in this case. So here the modules are a part of the agent's tools, right?
Yes, exactly. Now I'm gonna skip ahead because we also wanted to show local agents, but unfortunately it makes it a little bit trickier to show them, but maybe I can show you what modules are inside of the scenario. So here we have the future of the agent that's actually going to be living inside of the scenario. And instead of putting the tools like we did before, you will just click here, you will add the tool. For example, here it would be Google Sheet, it would be update the row. Here you would give a name, and then you would give it a description, and then you would select the row. Funnily enough, what we tried here is actually, let's see, Lenhart, and if you would go here and you would enter this manually, you can actually then spreadsheet ID and let the agent decide if you have a very specific. So in this case, it's going to be even simpler for you to use. I wouldn't have to have 10 tools, one for search, one search for per sheet. I actually did one search per each of the sheet, and I have 9 sheets inside of a spreadsheet. Here, let agent decide. He can go in, find it extremely faster to set it up, and it is actually still pretty accurate. So I hope this kind of explains what the tool is.
Yeah, or maybe I can even add in terms of like, even if someone's maybe seeing this for the very, very first time. So what like modules or what we call agent tools actually allow is if you're just chatting with an agent that didn't have any modules or didn't have any tools, it's exactly the same as if you're chatting with ChatGPT, right? And what the answers you're getting back are based on what was in the model's training data. When you give an agent access to tools, it actually allows it to interact with a different business system. So either whenever you're setting up these modules or tools, typically I always put it in two categories. Either you create a tool so that your agent can get context. So what Vitek said there in terms of search rows from Google Sheets, that's pulling in information, or you create a tool so the agent can actually take action. So one of the tools was like send a message on Slack. That means that our agents are not just living inside of a chat interface, but they can actually interact with business systems and do meaningful work.
Exactly. So yeah, I read a message, a question. Yes, you can then, for example, do Slack notify support, and it would send a message to whatever Slack. It could choose the channel for you. It could write a message. It can then choose the severity of the ticket by itself, and then notify everyone in the team. Let's go through a couple more questions, and I think then I will have to hand it over to Seb because we are running past the half hour that we scheduled for agents.
You can continue if you want to. I think this is really engaging and the community really likes it. So keep going, really.
So yeah, let's dig deeper into more questions.
Yes, we've got a couple of questions around like how we can access these agents outside of Make. So I guess people are thinking like how you can actually interact with them in a real business context. So that it really would depend on your interface, right? Whether that needs to be like a chat or Slack or Telegram. Are there any other like what are some of the most common ways people are actually integrating these agents into their business processes, into like a corporate environment?
It's exactly as you said. So this case that I just showed you, it would probably be somewhere living in Zendesk. So if Zendesk would make this, then it would be living in your Zendesk. Or you could create this as a widget. You can create this as an external chat. You will basically get an HTTP request that would be sending the user message. Then the agent would be running. It would take the user message in, and then basically either put the output. So in our case, it would be the one-line summary, the next steps, to the person that would be actually interacting with it. In this case, that would be the customer agent. The way, for example, I envision this working is I'm a new customer agent. I don't know much about the policies. This would speed up my onboarding like 10 times because the agent knows everything, but it's up to really me to decide on the critical paths, what tools to do, and to check his logic, because really they are not 100% accurate, and it's really going to be far off once they will be. If you really try, you will get them to 90% accuracy. So this kind of human and agents kind of case is probably the best one to use for now.
Perfect. And we have another really great question from Marta asking, I guess it's around like permission set. So is there any way that you could actually deploy an agent among different organizations? So if a lot of, like, let's say departments have the same use case for an agent, can you do it that people are using the agent, but it'll only have access to the information that that user has access to? Are there any sort of dynamic permissions, or right now it's still like when you do the get rows from Google Sheets, you have to create a connection there and like you have to determine what access the agent has. Is that right?
Yes, you do need to determine the access. Of course, because then different teams inside of an organization can have different files. Some maybe do not have access to others, so it's really important to keep it in that kind of team security scenario.
So in that use case, you'd almost want to like you'd have multiple agents. I guess duplicate the same agent multiple times for the different teams.
100%. So in this case, you have we call these global agents. So right now, everybody would have access to this agent, and then they would figure out their own modules and their own context. Once we go live with the local agents, it's gonna be that you can basically copy paste them. But of course, if you have the connections inside of the organization, then it's just gonna get copy pasted, or you can just switch and match. If you copy it and you don't have the same connection, it will throw up an error telling, hey, you need to actually set this up correctly. So yes, and again, really good questions, guys.
Perfect. All right, then I think we can move on. I'm collecting some more questions to put at the end, but let's continue with the demos.
Sure. So I think Seb, do you want to take over with the rest of the AI
Yes.
cool stuff that we have?
I will. With this, I will stop answering the questions on the chat. I was engaging with you guys. I'm super happy to be here. And thanks a lot, Vitek. This was amazing. The reactions were really, really positive. So I think this is really great. And let's get to it. Before we go to it, because we had it initially, and I think this is really important to highlight because there were some questions around it in the community. And I will just start sharing my screen. Hey, what are like typical use cases customers solve with Make an AI today? I will zoom out a bit one more time, and then we go back deeper into it to like position it. What does it mean? What's the difference between agents and automation? So getting everybody on the same page here. I know you came here for agents, but now I think it's really important to zoom out a bit for everybody who just joins the automation wave. So these are typical automations you can build with AI. And honestly, I've seen it last week on Make Waves. I recommend you start using first an AI module before you go for an agent. Many, 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 many agent use cases don't need an agent. They just need an LLM. And this is something where you really make your life 10 times easier. Let me give a super precise example. When you're querying a customer email and you want to retrieve data from example Notion, Airtable, you don't need an agent. You can just use a super small LLM call to retrieve or extract the email address and then just use an SQL or a semantic search to find the actual email address. I think Jan, you in your courses, you go way deeper into this topic, and I encourage everybody start with this, and then you can go towards an agent who has the capability to freely, non-deterministically, sorry to use these more technical words, choose tools. Yeah, but I think Jan, you can educate them more in there. But my strong recommendation is start using AI on a simple mode. Now let's go deeper into it. What does this mean? You can like super simple use cases how you can use AI. You can use simply AI, and you see here OpenAI in this case for classification, text creation, search. Oh, sorry, search. Yeah, and enrichment, summarization, data extraction, sentiment analysis. So there's so many use cases where you can just work with AI where you not yet need an agent for. And these are 70% of the business use cases you will need. And now, what does it mean? Like, what is like, we see OpenAI is kind of like really like the thing in here that's confirming it. And if you see it even further, you will see huge amount of usage of these AI modules there. Now, I'm speeding up a bit because we want to get to also more demos there. You can see 405% of customers actually using these AI apps. So AI apps is really, really unlocking a huge amount of your ROI. And once you have the problem that you need to go and have flexible, fluid, non-deterministic processes, agents are amazing. Now, what does it mean also when it comes to like AI agents hype cycle? I think we're definitely getting there. So when it comes now to the peak, maybe we receive the peak. We see OpenAI June usage, for example, dropping there a bit. When you want to dive more a bit more like what kind of like AI and customers using, check out these pages. They are like customers from us and they do really amazing AI use cases. Now, when it comes to the theme, we really are empowering innovators. We are going deeper into this, and with AI, the space will transform forever. Now, let me go on one slide that I think is really, really important to wrap up, and then I will start sharing my screen, is that you have automated workflows. These are like your static workflows. And these static workflows actually help you to build nearly, I would guess, around 50%, let's say, of your business. You don't need AI when you are automating a contact request to your CRM. You can just do this super simply with Make 2 modules, and that saves so much time. I still see businesses every single day out there having people working on a desk to basically move emails from A to B. you need just an automation for this. Now, if you want to classify in there, did this customer, let's say, write us nicely? Or what's the problem of the customer? You can use an LLM. Now, if you want to have intelligence in there and you want to really say, well, if the customer wrote us that he wants to talk to support, let's retrieve the calendar availability of our support team and assign the right support agent. This can become an agent use case. But most of the support automations you can build pretty statically. Now, let's go a bit into the middle piece here, an agentic automation. How can you really build these agentic automations? And I will show you one of these now. Just going to stop my screen share. Just give me a second. I'm going to jump over, different tab. Here we go. Just going to share my full screen, just so you see it. Okay, so perfect, nice. I need to get the Zoom bar out of the way. Perfect. So I won't see you. If I need to react, Jan, the tab, please
we'll let you know.
Okay, cool. So what I brought you is a real life example of what I just explained. Let's use a contact form or a feedback form. I will, in this case, use Tally. It's a free online form editor. And let's use this feedback form. We can just use this template. And it's quite long. Let's keep it a bit simpler. I'm going to remove the page 3 just to be sure that this is a bit faster. And then we have now here a rating and where people find us, and I will put everything on one page, so we're saving a bit of time. Now let's publish this. And this could be something that I think nearly any business in the world that has customers, and I think every business has customers, can send their customers, hey, are you happy? Where did you hear us? Where did you hear from us? So this is some use case beside the contact form use case that I really like to use for many, many times. And now let's say, well, I want to actually get an understanding and I want to save this to make, and I really want to understand what my customers think about us. So let's connect this. And I start really here from scratch because I saw that some people here are completely new to automation, and really, I'm super happy that you're here because automation is one of the best things that make your business thrive. And we are going to connect now. Tally is super simple. You can just click, and you directly connect it to your form. I remember back like 2015 how complicated it was to connect forms to interfaces, to APIs. Now we have our feedback form in here, and we can just run this. And let's fill it out. In case you want to reach me, here you can reach me. Feel free to send me anything. I'm super, super happy to collaborate with you, and I hope you have a great experience today. So there we go. Now you see the data. You got it here, and it's really nice. You can even use the previous data. You can run it again, so you see it again here. Now let's go. Well, I need this data in my Google Sheet, and I want to save it for my team. So I can just say, add a row. Sorry, add a row. And now, well, I don't have my sheet yet. So you can just go here. I just created an external example folder, and I'm just going to call it feedback. And my feedback will be from my customer that sends email, the channel where I learn from them, and their rating. And it's actually ratings because we have multiple. Now, sounds probably pretty familiar to what you do. I will do something a bit more technical, just so you know. This is the Google ID of a Google Sheet in case you ever need to identify it. Important is you need to copy it without these slashes. And now what you can do is you can enter it manually, but you could also look it up. We have all these ways that you could just pick it neatly from Google, but it's just a faster way. Now, Google has this amazing feature that it calls always every sheet one. Yep, sheet one, but it's written in caps. Just give me a second. And I'm getting bombarded with chat messages. So bear with me here. And now I want to save it. And here I know I remember A was the email. Let me save my email. B was basically the channel where they hear it. I open this, I click on social media. And now how would you rate us? We know that these are multiple questions. So let's save the grade. And you can really see, okay, you need to open it, but you could also auto unfold all of them. So here we go. And just separating them by super simple comma. And now if I run this again, run this once, boom, I have my data in here. Okay.
Is
Now,
the run once thing new, Seb? Even I haven't seen this. When did you guys add that you can just run the last is this another one of
I think some
the
weeks
Easter
ago.
egg or
I think some weeks ago. So you can run your scenario once and repeat it endless amount of times theoretically. Okay.
that's gorgeous.
Um, there. And it makes it really, really easy to build, right?
Absolutely.
Now, well, it doesn't tell me anything about like how the feedback was. Now they say great, but let's give it some unification. Let's classify that. Let's maybe turn great because I don't have access to the form. Let's say I can't change the form. Let's turn the form into a rating mechanism and let's ask back the customer. So we can do following. We can just add a super simple built-in make AI toolkit in here and you can ask it anything. Yeah. So we could say, for example, and you see here the huge amount of models that we're offering. Yeah. So you have a vast, vast, vast possibility, but you could also use, and I'm just going to open this. Give me a second. My bad. Just misclicked. Ask anything. There we go. So you have various models at your hand and you can just, I don't know, it's probably my screen share right now. Let me reload because I get my zoom bar. You don't see that my zoom bar is constantly popping in front of my mouse. We'll just move it again up. And here you can basically say, well, I want to use Make AI Provider. You can add any provider to AI Toolkit that works with it, or you can just say, well, I want to use Make AI as provider, and then you get a model list that you can just use. And in this case, we offer you various models that make it super, super easy to get started. These models are offered by Make. We have a credit system, and in there, we're charging based on it. So now what you could say is, in case you get this feedback, in case the feedback is 3 times less than, let's say, bad, write an email to the customer and return the word. And now we're just going to use a word as a filter because we can make it so easy to work with this negative in the email. And now I can just throw in the whole thing. I don't need to map anything. I just throw it in and can say form response. And now let's run that. Oh, sorry, my bad. And now it will go to OpenAI with our credit system. It will analyze it and it takes sometimes a bit because it's a large model. It takes all the information and you should get that back anyhow. Now, perfect. And in this case, there were no negative comments. It shouldn't write the email, that's okay. But it got forced to write the email. So in this case, this is like every prompt, you need to loop a bit with it and tell them an alternative. If it is not negative, do not return an email. So I will just switch here the model bit down so it becomes a bit faster so we can test this. And you can see this is live, like this is how you build with AI to just iterate. And you can see here that the answer now is empty, which is good because it should return an empty answer. Now if I
And
fill
Seb, just quickly, we had a couple of people asking about token usage. Token
Mhm.
usage. Do you mind showing in that response? I know that there's a little plus button where we can actually see in Make how much of these tokens are being used.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And we have a pricing schema how we charge these tokens back to credits. I can say I'm super, super proud. It's one of the fairest pricings out there. We are giving nearly one-to-one the pricing of the LLM provider to use. So it's just making it way, way easier for you to use AI and build workflows with AI. And yeah, with this, let me just go back and let me create this really bad experience. Let's say that I got, and I will run this once, and you can see, oh, now there's data because we didn't turn on the scenario yet. And I can use the existing data. And now in this case, it didn't create me the email because now again, I have the problem that the model is too weak for this. And let's use it. And you need to play a bit with around what is the best model for my use case, and run this once. There we go. And now it will take a bit longer because we're using a bigger model again. Okay, now if this is answer long string, perfect. We have the negative experience and we can write the email. Now what you could do is you could just set up a filter, and this is illustrative. Okay, so you would need to do probably a bit more, which you learn in the 9x courses, how you can then filter properly for this. You send an email, and in this branch, you could just say, well, if the answer contains negative, because we created this filter word, then you send an email. That's like the easiest way how you can build this without learning any JSON, without learning any parameters to map, all of this, just human language, what we learned from the beginning of our school, and making it so much more human friendly to build. Now, this is how you can block AI directly in Make into your automation. But let's go beyond this. Let's go to something that many, many customers actually do and analyze a PDF. We are just going to use the same canvas. I'm not going to start a new use case because I want to spend more time on the second topic later on. Let's use Make AI Content Extractor. Here we go. So you can get a lot of documents via email, and you can get a lot of PDFs, invoices. And let's say I have here this example invoice, and I always use this one.
It's so funny that this is a German one. I always use it as well.
It's the
Number
first
one,
one
it's the
popping up.
number one, exactly. I think because the Germany has very, let's say, specific way of invoicing. So I guess that's the one that everyone uses.
And just basically what I demo you here is just a super, super, super simple way how you can use AI inside Make as well. And here you go. So we don't only have Toolkit, but we also have Extractor, and that allows you to, without anything that you need to bring to Make, just directly use AI in Make and extract data, make that work. And now you could send this data, of course, also to a Google Sheet. I showed you this previously, but for the time being, I will not go deeper into this. I just really wanted to highlight that this Make AI Context Extractor completes our Make AI toolkit here. Now, let's say, I want to run code. I'm going to switch. You saw me as, let's say, not a super developer, really thinking in human language, really thinking like, okay, I'm a business user. I just want to make this work to make my feedback analysis easier. I think I showed you this. I hope you could follow me. If not, you have my email. Add me on LinkedIn. Feel always free to reach out and let me know how we can make our product better. On the other side, I want to now go into what I said with the developer and code experience. I'm super happy that in the last weeks we added one of the most requested features to Make, and this is the Make Code app. If I can type correctly, then it's fine, of course. And here we have the Make Code app. And what I will do now is, oh, sorry, I just wanted to click here on this auto align. I think it makes it always easier. I will remove now some of the modules just to make this a bit more streamlined again. And you can see you can just like super simply highlight modules and clean up your work, and just feels really, really great if you have this visualization. Now, let me click on the Make Code module. Now, what I want to do is I want to actually change the code to get a better understanding. So as I said before, let's say my team created this form and I have no influence how to change this. This happens in many, many companies, that when someone built something in the past and you have no influence, but you need to transform the data, you need to change it, you need to re-represent it, you need to repurpose it. This is where code makes it so easy. I would say I'm kind of a developer, but honestly, if you ask me, hey Seb, how can you turn this now great into numbers? Like, oof, my Python skills are a bit rusty here. But luckily, there's AI, right? So I just go to Gemini, ask, hey, write a Python snippet. When it's interesting, just a short note. Whenever somebody joins, I know why my typing stops. Whenever someone joins, I pop out of Google Chrome. I'm really sorry for this experience. Hey, write a Python snippet that sums the amount of, where's that grade? For bad, give 1, 2, 5, 4. Great. You know where we're getting. We're getting to a Likert scale, a 5-point Likert scale, but I can't change the form. I mean, it would be so easy to just change the form, but hey, I can't do it. So I just used a short code snippet to actually do this transformation. You could do this without code and make, but it would be really hard. It's just so much easier to do this with code. So now for bad, give 5, it's great. And because we have this nice little editor here, I will just say, hey, well, you need to use this return. Here, some example. You need to use some return the whole number in var foo, because I'm a bit lazy. Okay, here we go. And now what we'll do is we'll start writing a code. And what you can do is you can say, well, this is my in code editor, and I can just put these things in. And I have here the input get foo. And you probably ask, well, how do I get now this in here? Because this is a super simple example that's always used in development, foo bar. You can just assign to the word foo, and this is just what I will do is will, or just gonna say, give me a second. Sorry, I'm just gonna use the whole bundle, just bundle, and I will just use this whole bundle, and I just put it in. Now it will say, well, I don't like whole bundles, but that's okay because we will do following. We will shortly unlink this, run the last run. And oh no, sorry, this was the one with the content extractor. Just gonna use this one. Yeah, here we go. Now you can just use this output bundle, and you can see here that we have the bad, we have this, and now we'll go back to Gemini, and you can say to it, well, you need to assign to foo. Well, you need to change foo to bundle var and use this JSON as input because I really don't want to map it. And what I will do is I will just give it even a screenshot of my variable and the value. So it completely gets what I will do, what I want him to do here. And there we go. I just
And
want to really,
while this one's running, like
Mhm.
one question that some people might have is like the task that you're getting the code to do is also theoretically something that you could get AI to do, right? Is say like, hey, based on these, calculate it. But I guess the important thing to do is it's probably doing the AI step is a lot quicker when it comes to building it than taking the time to write this code. But imagine then if this is going to be something that runs 1,000 times a day or runs at volume, exactly what you showed before is every time you're bringing in LLM, it takes time to process. You want to use a good model. And what the LLM is doing actually under the hood is writing code each time. So rather here as a builder, you take a step back, you write the code once, and then it just makes all of your scenarios a lot more efficient, I guess. Is that sort of how you balance up like what task do you give to a large language model and what task do you actually then bring back into a deterministic flow?
exactly this. So if it works now, and that's always a bit the tricky part here, result is foo 0, that's not correct. Um, is that I'm trying to basically turn this into a mathematical piece instead of just relying on LLM because LLMs hallucinate. I
Absolutely.
can I can bet with you if you shoot this 100 times against it, it will not turn correctly the bad into 1, 1, and 2. So 4, if you run this 100 times, I can guarantee you nearly that this is not going to be always 4. It will hallucinate. And you need to get this out to have a reliable data set. So now we see that this did not really go here and it returned 0. So we're going to feedback this. We can loop with this. I think the approach, how you get and how you can write code with LLMs is clearer. As I said, this is definitely a developer experience. It is not that straightforward and it needs a bit of looping, like anything what you're doing with AI. Let's see if the refining of input assumptions is making this work. I will open it one more time. I will give it one more time, the output JSON, and let's see if this works. But I know we're going against a full hour. So let's see. Because the total score starts here with 0, the variable probably never gets updated. But let's validate this one more time. That's always the sake of live demos. And especially when you're working with AI, that's just like, it gives you that other level of, will it work this time when you're building with AI? Let's see. Result 5. There we go. It's wrong, but okay. It got at least to a certain point. It should be 4 if we turn it correctly around. But hey, now I would need to debug, but I think with a full hour, I will keep it there. You understood the principle. So yeah, thanks for watching this and listening to us.
Nice. Do you guys have time for a couple more questions that we can
Of course I have. Of course I
yeah.
have.
So the big question is everything you've just showed, make code, rewind data, AI modules, is this all live? Is it only available to certain plans? What's the current situation?
So this is live.
It's
Code's
live.
live, AI Context Extractor is live, and AI Toolkit is live. And it's available in definitely core plans. There are some differentiators, but it's definitely available in core plans. And if you sign up with a new free account, you should get a promo to use this.
Very nice, very nice. Also, like so a couple of questions. So maybe back to Vitek on right at the start when we were like building our AI agent. So first of all, would our markdown files, so .md, some people noticed there were markdown files. Are these better for AI agents than compared to PDF, or it doesn't matter?
Good question. I never tested it. I was always using MD. But for example, when I was testing, my first agent was actually a financial report from Nike. It was 55 pages document that I just plugged in into Python, use RAG, and I queried it. It was working perfectly when the PDF was 54 pages. So I can imagine it works well in both cases. Since I'm using Cursor a lot and other low code, no code solutions, I'm used to using MDs. I find them work, so I just keep using them. But you're free to test it out and let me know. I would love to hear what you find out.
Awesome. And the like obviously as even Seb showed before, these large language models are becoming more and more multimodal. So even in Gemini, you can just drop an image. If we add PDFs right now as our agent context, is that still limited to just text though? And therefore, I guess the markdown files are going to be a little bit lighter and maybe like better understood. Or can, if we have a PDF that maybe includes some screenshots or some visuals, will the agent pull that context out or not yet?
It's a really good question. I want to say it.
I'm happy to answer this.
Yeah,
Our PDF parser only extracts text at the moment, but we're aiming to bring really, really good file capabilities to agents. And with this, I hope we also process all the pictures, all the things you have in
Perfect. And
agent.
right now you can do this, right? As like as you said, Seb, with an LLM step in the workflows, but right now for agents, it's text only. And I guess while we're on the topic of context as well, I know, for instance, with like Gemini Gems, you can also have like add knowledge files, and there you can add Google Docs, which are then like living bits of context. Is this something that might also be coming to Make soon? So someone there was asking about Could we add, for instance, our Confluence documentation? I guess right now you would need to create a module, a tool for your agent to connect that. But could we imagine in the future that there might also be some like dynamic context that we can give our agents?
Yes, great question. It's a question that we were actually discussing 4 hours ago. And we are just when we are designing the new local agents, we are taking that into consideration.
Perfect. On the new local agents, do we have an ETA? Do we add, like, I know everyone was very excited when we saw those visuals. What's your rollout plan there?
Yes, we do. We are planning to release them in February.
In February. Amazing. Very cool. And maybe one last question from my side, and then thank you so much for your time. I guess with you two, you have a couple of different missions. When you balance up, like, is your main focus to make the agents that people build more powerful, or is it to make it even easier to build agents? How do you go about like balancing that when you're developing this product?
This is such a great question that I think we are trying to answer every day, because it makes it so difficult to kind of balance these two, right? And that is my personal opinion that might differ. It's like we first and foremost try to make it as simple as possible, but of course, as our users grow with the agents, their needs for it will grow as well. So I think these go hand in hand, and it's a very fine thread that we are trying to walk, while of course going for both. Otherwise, we would either see low adoption or we would see high churn. We want to keep both of these in balance. So great questions, you guys. We are asking these questions every day. So I'm really glad to see that we are asking the right ones, because apparently they do matter.
Yeah, perfect. Then, yeah, Seven Vitek, thank you so much for joining us. It was really a great session. Thanks for everyone for joining us as well. It was great to see how many of you super engaged in the chat. As Seb said, you will all receive the recording tomorrow. I'm going to make sure we get from Vitek all of those files and the system prompt so we can share that as well. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, everyone. Thanks a lot.